Hello, this here is the LEGO Icons Land Rover Classic Defender 90 set. This comes with 2,336 pieces, and I built this one live over on my Twitch channel. It cost me $240 US, 240, and if you see a View Products link on your screen right now, you can click that to see some places where you can buy this. This is almost exactly 1/12 scale, which puts it right in line with all of the modern, larger Creator Expert or Icons cars, such as the most recent Camaro, the Porsche 911 before that, and the Mustang, the classic Mustang in dark blue. It looks fantastic. It looks like a scale model because it's really going for that complete look, that complete finish, including a whole bunch of accessories that are completely optional that are added on top of this. I've done absolutely everything that they have for you to do in the instructions, but I will start to strip some of this stuff down so you can see what it looks like in its more clean, original, unmodified form. But here's what it looks like with a just random minifigure just grabbed from the side for the sake of scale. The sand green color is almost a perfect match to one of the factory colors called Grassmere, I believe it was. So this is a nice choice, and also it's nice to get more sand green. A lot of LEGO fans are big fans of that color in particular, so it's nice to get a bunch of recolored parts and just more general availability of pieces in that color with this, including the fender pieces here, which attach onto the side. The wheel pieces, of which you get 6 in this set because there are 2 spares. One of them's on the front and one of them is on the back over here. There are 2 sets of stickers for the license plate or number plate setups there. And again, all of these accessories and things can be removed. So what I'm going to do before I get into too many of the details of the vehicle itself is start removing some of those accessories, show you those up close quickly, and then we'll focus just on what's underneath. The add-on bull bar has a winch on it, and this has a working spool with some of the nicest cordage that LEGO has ever made. It's really strong stuff, has a little bit of elasticity to it, and seals up really nicely. And there's a brake on there in the form of an extra gear off to the side, so this gets some nice traction. You can actually hold some weight with it. There are some tools attached around, such as this pickaxe. There's an E tool over here as well. On one side, there's a small axe or hatchet. I just took off the mount for it. And on the other side is a hammer as well, like a sledge. These rock rails in the running board position are able to be removed as well, as is the snorkel for feeding the engine here. This can be angled forward if you want it to be more straight up, but you know, it's intended to be like this. And this is all just regular brick-built stuff, whereas some of the other accessories heavily rely on Technic pieces. Folks who don't know what these gray things are supposed to be will probably find them to be completely ugly and unfinished and lazy looking from LEGO, but if you are familiar with sand ladders or traction plates or recovery boards, you look at this representing a classic form of those essential tools, you'll see that LEGO has done a pretty perfect job of representing these. There's one on either side. There's a fire extinguisher on the back next to one of the spares, and also a ladder to get up to the top of the roof rack. The upper roll cage is mostly Technic built, except for the rack itself on top and the connections, which are done with just clips and bars. There's actually a slight bit of tapering to this, and it's able to fit very comfortably into the brick-based system build down below. There are representations of some extra lights up here, and then all the cargo that's on the roof rack is partially held down with some cordage, some string with the LEGO stud at either end. And some of this stuff is actually kind of fed through, so it takes a minute to carefully remove it, get it extricated from there. But this is, as you can see, a vehicle jack. I was a little bit disappointed to find that it doesn't actually work. It almost works. It almost has the correct action to it, but at the very least it does ratchet, and it will hold itself in place, so you can use that to set up a little bit of a scene of something being held up for the sake of recovery. You know, it doesn't quite have the full action, but really, really close. This tool chest, this is about as perfect as it can be. It's rather large, but I mean, you do have these open trays up top, which you wouldn't want to have in real life, but check this out. I mean, the realism here is very, very strong. I appreciate that significantly. Much of this is built, incidentally, upside down. Too bad about the tan color for the axle pins there. And then obviously you got a couple of jerry cans back here, and these are also a pretty perfect build in my opinion. These are able to attach just a little bit to some of the studs on the roof rack, but look at that. For an old metal jerry can, that's just about perfect as well. Now these individual tiles are able to move about, so you do need to line those up and then be careful just not to touch them again afterwards. But I think that's a fine compromise to get that interesting corrugated side shape in there. Good nozzle too. It's amazing how much stuff you can remove from the basic build and still be left with a full truck with the roof rack and the roll cage and the two spares and the ladder in the back. The roll cage mounts were in black, so when you take those off, they give you some 1x2x1 curved pieces to fill in the gaps. And then critically, for the other side where you had the snorkel connected, there were two pieces left over that they don't have covered in the instructions as of the recording of this video. And it drove me absolutely up a wall, half insane. These two parts right here go on the other side where the, basically to cover up the little spot where the snorkel, lower area, the lower location where the snorkel is connected. Saw it on the box finally. But yeah, do beware of that if you're trying to make the final thing, and or you find yourself with a couple spares that don't seem to go anywhere. And then for the scar left behind by the removal of the bull bar, they give you a couple of cheese slope pieces as well as a front number or license plate. And in addition to that, you also get these two spares. And then if you want to remove one of the spare tires, well, it's ugly little thing right there, so they give you this, and then you can flip the snot bricks upside down to make this more smooth. I'm leaving a couple of these studs exposed for the moment, and I'll show you what those are for later on, but for right now, let's just take a look at this in its clean form. Now this is nice. It has a very, very different vibe, obviously, but it still works, and I think this helps you to be able to focus a little bit more on the lines of the truck, and to really hone in on the accuracy or lack thereof. I'd say it's 90% plus accurate. This is a very, very, very good scale representation of a 90. Now there are some questions about what year this represents in the marketing material. They're like, oh, it's staying 100% true to the original 1983 model, but there was no 1983 Defender 90. As a matter of fact, it wasn't called the Defender until much later, but in 1983, they came out with the longer wheelbase one with the 4 doors, and this version didn't come out until 1984. But through the history of the model, you will find something that looks, if not exactly like this with its configuration, extremely close. I wasn't able to find an older classic model that has these nice little windows up here. I don't know specifically what they're called, but these extra windows, which are nicely embedded there. But that does not also have a sunroof on the top of it. Might be a later thing. I want to point out some little stuff. This right here, the Land Rover logo, is a print, and it is absolutely excellent. The Defender badge here is 2 stickers. Now, first of all, the sticker backing is kind of terrible. You can see that the green just isn't consistent. You've got some striation going through there that just doesn't look good. I think I just got unlucky with that. But also in the instructions, they actually have you put this sticker over to the right and this sticker over to the left. I've never seen that happen before, where they actually want you to have no gap. It's very interesting, and I hope that they do more of that in the future for these expert level models. The A-pillars are decorations on the windshield, and they are stickers, so there's one on either side. And as you can see, this sticker sheet was not die cut just right. So it's, in addition to having some print issues, it's also offset, which is an increasingly common quality control issue that Lego has. There should be an equal amount of black on either side. Also, just in terms of its design, it doesn't go all the way down, so you got that unsightly gap at the base. The fuel filler port is excellent, as is this print right here, another exclusive print with the Land Rover logo, this time on a 1x2 just rectangular tile in sand green. This is a sticker, as you already saw. It's just a little bit closer look at the profile of the fender extensions there. And then looking up, this rear door is kind of excellent itself. Very little gappiness, just a little bit up here in the corner, a little bit in the corner here as well. And yet, this is able to seamlessly open up with ease. So that's just good design there. It's not getting caught at all, and it just closes in quite well. Oh, I forgot to mention the trailer hitch down here, but inside there is some upholstery. See if I can get that to focus all the way down in there. Yeah, you got the seats on the side. It's all tiled in as well, except for the little rails there on the edges. You got the upholstery on the other side also. The side doors have a similar fit to the rear one, so this is nice and smooth, well integrated there with just the tiniest bit of gap that's not worth even caring about at all. This opens up nice and wide, and you've got upholstery on the inside as well. There's a point in the instructions where they ask you, or they prompt you to consider whether to build it as a left-hand drive vehicle or a right-hand drive vehicle. So I built it as a correct-hand drive vehicle, correct for its region of original production. And you got the seats in there that are done pretty nicely. It's a little difficult to see the dashboard here, but the 3 pedals that are individually adjustable in their angles are obvious. And you've also got 2 gear train selector sticks in the middle, just below the center console. So you got one for controlling the 4-wheel drive, and then the other one's just a regular gear shift. There's also a center console sticker, but again, difficult to see. So I'm just gonna tear all this off because you can. I do love how convenient and easy that is. And this is a perfect time to show you that the steering does indeed work from the inside. And that's nice to see. There's a ton of slop in the system, but at least it is connected up, which is, I think, very appropriate and kind of necessary here. Look at the rest of this thing with the top removed. It's a whole other look as well. Glad that they did not choose to just sell it like this. Would have been kind of a cop-out. It's unfortunate to see the blue back here as well, but that's definitely a small nitpick. The rest of it is colored up pretty properly and sealed up pretty nicely. Checking out the engine compartment, this is a turbo diesel, and they also have this as well to hold up the bonnet or hood if you want to pose it that way. Nice little bit of extra detail. But speaking of detail, you can actually look at the engine and appreciate it because it pulls out. The whole thing pulls straight out. So you can see just how much went into this. Definitely more than is absolutely necessary, but it's convenient being able to swap this out and then swap in, I don't know, this, because this is also included. So they give you 2 options. They give you a turbo diesel, and then they give you a V8. I looked up different models of Defenders, 90s, 110s, etc. through the years, trying to figure out which engine this represents. Kind of looks like the BMW one to me, but not entirely, like a much later, late 90s thing, just with the shape of the manifold there. But, you know, it's whichever specific year it represents, whether it's appropriate to a classic Defender or not. It's included. You can put that there, but when you put that in there, you can see a little bit of the gear train is not actually hooked up. That did bug me, but that was just my own poor expectations. That's just for steering right there, all the gears that you see. But when you swap this over into the V8 version, you're supposed to have a hood bump to make space for its extra height. So they give you that. A V8 hood bump. And that brings us to the final form, or forms, of this vehicle. Again, there's a whole lot that you can do with this. It's not just a simple assemble and display situation. Oh yeah. Working suspension. 4 links, front and rear, as accurate as they reasonably could get it. Unfortunately, it is a little bit on the stiff side as usual, but at least it does fundamentally work the way it's supposed to. You can get a little bit of articulation out of it before the opposite tire starts to lift that you don't want to lift, but I can get a good centimeter or so underneath that for a little bit of a flexing pose. And finally, we land at the spare parts. I showed you these 2 already. Unfortunately, the little Land Rover prints don't get spares. They're just a little bit too large for that. And this is what the sticker sheet looked like. Again, the price on this one was a hefty $240 US. It's 240 euros, 210 pounds UK, 330 Canadian dollars. That's a heck of a lot That's a heck of a lot. For this. This is very nice. It is very nice, but that price is rough. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, honestly. However, you're not paying $240 for this. You're paying $240 for this, plus all of this. Very clear. It's never been more clear to me that Lego, known fact, builds, their designers build to a price. Price is assigned to a project early on with some collaboration involved there, and then they build to that price. The designer did not need to do all this other stuff. They didn't. Does this add value? Absolutely, but it also bumps up the price significantly. Evidently, the bean counters, the combination of the bean counters and probably fans of the source material here, thought that people who would want to buy something like this would be interested in all this extra stuff and have the means to pay for it and the interest to pay for it. So if this sells super, super well, hey, Lego knows what they're doing. They do make like $1 billion of profit at least every, what is it, half of a year? Sheesh. But I'm not happy with the price of this myself, especially when you consider that you can get something just a little bit smaller than this. So this is 1/12 scale. You can get something approximately 1/14 scale. So like an inch shorter-ish, but same basic source material, 110 instead of a 90. Just a little bit smaller for $90 less, $150 US, $150 US. This is $240. For $150, you can get a model that looks great. It's just a little bit shorter with working lights. Fully buildable and fully drivable. Look it up. Traxxas TRX4M. Not sponsored by them. I'm not trying to be anti-Lego. I'm just stating a fact. If you like something like this, you like wrenching on stuff, you like having a mechanical model that's sizable, look into other options. Lego is not the end-all be-all of collectibles. It's not the end-all be-all of models, of nice-looking, buildable, customizable things. Because you get one of those RC versions of this, it's just a little bit smaller. Comes with the battery, comes with everything, everything that you need. If anything, for any reason, happens to break because you roll it off of a hill and it lands perfectly on a rock in a creek bed down below and it breaks something, you can just fix it. It's like, you know, $5, $10 to replace something. You can upgrade everything. You can customize. You can get different bodies. You can paint your own body. And most importantly, with the working ones that cost way less than this, you get out there in either your bedroom, your attic, your backyard, local park, regional park, state park, whatever. You get out into nature and you learn how to drive over rocks and stuff. And you can see way more suspension articulation than this. I'm talking like, more articulation than this thing can even do, no matter how hard I push on it. Different tire options that you can get. It's just such a vast world out there of fun, awesome fun, customizable. You know, everybody always talks about, but the build experience, but the ability to change this. Like you could literally turn this into a boat if you want to, or a house. Sure. How many people actually do that? Probably count them on two hands in the world. The number of people who are going to buy this and then turn it into a house. Because just get parts off of Bricklink and build a house. You know, that's way better. It doesn't waste pieces and stuff. All that just to say that this is extremely expensive and you can get a lot more in life out of a model if you look outside of the world of Lego. But within the world of Lego, again, this model itself is excellent. This is an excellent Lego set. I love it. The color is perfect. I'm not I'm not a sand green stan. I know there are plenty of sand green stands out there. And that's fine. I'm not one of them. I respect the color. I don't lust for it. But this looks great. Especially those wheels. Nice to get those. Stickers, unfortunate. The quality control issues with those stickers, but otherwise, this was just a good experience. Nice, involved build too. A lot of different techniques, a lot of different approaches to how sub-assemblies are put together and everything. But feels good and looks fantastic. Those are my thoughts though. Hopefully you understand the place that I'm coming from. Just, I like to have an open mind. I like to consider, again, that there's more to life than just Lego. And I hope that you enjoyed this, whether you agree with me or not. Thank you very much for watching, though. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.